and welcome to the Manestream podcast. I'm Rosalyn Rivas and I'm very excited to be interviewing a very special guest today. Please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm your Miss Southeastern 2025, Eva Delatte, and I'm a English education major through grades 6 through 12, and I am also getting a certification in International Baccalaureate.
Oh, great. Eva, can you tell us a little about your background with pageants and how you got started?
Well, funny story, this was technically my first ever technical pageant. I will say that I've done like dance pageants. I've been a dancer since the age of 2 years old, and I competed in the Dance Masters of America Association, and I was Miss Dance of Louisiana in 2021. That was a dance pageant where there was an interview, but there was no modeling portion, so that was like my first time on stage actually modeling, and it was so fun.
You did great. You did great. I loved watching you out there. You had a lot of confidence on stage, and I'm sure your dance background helped with that.
Oh yes, definitely. I would say that most of the time whenever I'm on stage, like, you know, I've been there my entire life. Like, that's pretty much my home. That's where I feel like my heart is. And so once I step on stage, it's like confidence is just there.
Yeah, and I love that. I also have a background in performing arts, and I can totally understand, you know, being on stage and just feeling at home. It's just what we're passionate at, and I love that. So, what inspired you to compete for Miss Southeastern?
Well, in COVID, whenever the COVID pandemic started, I felt like my life just stopped, and I feel like everybody felt that way. But specifically whenever I stepped back into society and went back to like school, I was in high school at the time, and I was a part of a whole bunch of performing arts programs within my high school. I came back to high school and all of that still never started up again. And so that was in 2020. I graduated in 2022, and we tried to air like a bunch of theater or like choir performances, and a lot of them just couldn't make it because budget cuts. You know, with COVID, there was a serious decline in performing arts communities and programs within Tangipahoa Parish, and so I felt like I needed to do something that was going to change it. But here's the thing, I was only 16 years old, and there's not much change that a little 16-year-old girl could do. But still, today, even in 2025, we still have not come back from the COVID pandemic and performing arts. Like, it's still not the same prior to the pandemic. So originally, whenever I thought about what I wanted to do to change or help promote in the community, I was like, that's what I would want to promote and be like an advocate for. Now, how was I going to be an advocate? See, I think that I first found out and thought about Miss Southeastern whenever I was doing a guest performance for the McLaurin Dance Academy, and that was in June. And 2 prior contestants, both of them at the time were also crowned queens. They told me that I needed to compete for Miss Southeastern and that I had the ability to do it just because of my dance background and also because of the way that I had spoken for myself and like what I was passionate about. They were like, you should compete. So then I looked into the Miss Southeastern platform and the Miss America organization, and I found a whole lot of ideals that I truly loved, like I admired. And so then I was like, okay, well then I want to go ahead and be a part of this and compete, see what happens, and then here I am.
Oh, I love that. Well, speaking about advocacy, tell me a little bit about your DREAM initiative. Let students know what it's about, if they can get involved. Just tell me a little bit more.
Well, the DREAM initiative stands for Dance, Rhythm, Expression, Acting, and Music. It is an anagram for performing arts, basically. It's an advocacy program that helps promote the performing arts programs that are local to this city, I would say Hammond area, and also Tangipahoa Parish schools. So I just recently became the ambassador for performing arts through Tangipahoa Parish school systems, and my #1 goal is to get it implemented through every single public school within Tangipahoa Parish. And I feel like that yes, that's a humongous big goal that I want to accomplish, but I feel like once the performing arts has a voice that brings everybody together and makes them realize that yes, this is a major part of our culture that cannot leave, you know, we cannot let it go, then I feel like people will actually start listening and paying attention. And so that's what I want to be.
Oh, well, I love that. Like I said, as someone who has a background in performing arts, I can personally testify that we do need performing arts in public schools. I mean, I was a choir kid, took choir all 4 years of high school. I loved to eat my lunch in the lunchroom, and it was just really the only place in school that I could be myself.
That's exactly what I've heard from so many of these kids that I've already talked to.
Yeah.
Like I asked them, why did you want to be a part of this performing arts program? And they automatically just say, because I feel like it's my safe space.
Yes.
It's where I can actually be me. And I feel like, you know, most people want to say it's safe space and then you feel like you can find who you are as a person, but I also think that once you step onto the stage, it also puts you a little bit out of that comfort zone.
It does, yes.
That makes you be more confident. And so whenever you go out into the real world, you know, whenever you graduate from high school, go into college or wherever you may want to go, you can actually be a little bit more confident in who you are and like speak to your truth.
Yes, like even now sitting here filming this with you, I probably would never have had the confidence to try something new like this if it wasn't for that past experience in my life. So that's great. I love this initiative. I'm always here to support. If you need any help or any testimonies, I'm here. So what message do you hope students will receive when seeing you around campus?
I want them to remember to follow your dream, whatever that may be. I mean, my biggest quote that I've always lived by since probably the age of 7 was, if your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough. And I always felt like that made me, again, reach out of my comfort zone and made me think of the possibilities and, you know, test my capabilities and made me grow as a person. And so if I had any message to spread to the Southeastern students, I would say, please, just please follow your dreams. Please go after whatever goal that you might possibly want to go for, because, you know, you only have one life to live.
Yes.
And so if you don't take those chances, then how are you, like, you're gonna be living in a life full of regret. So in my opinion, just go for it.
Yeah, I love that. Now, this is something that I want to know because, I mean, I saw it and I was like, I just cannot imagine how she feels right now. When they called your name and they placed the crown on your head, like, tell me about it. Like, bring me into the moment. How was that?
Okay, well, I'm gonna be honest. So most of the time whenever you're standing on stage waiting for your name to be called, or if it's going to be called, you know, you're just like, my gosh, I hope it's me. It's like the adrenaline starts rushing.
Yes.
And for me, the adrenaline rushed so much to the point where I didn't even feel like I was standing on stage. I felt like I was like floating on a cloud or something. Everything just sort of kind of got like fuzzy and sparkly, you know? And so whenever they said Eva Delatte, it didn't actually feel real. Like I felt like I was just outside of my own body. Like I'm like, oh, what is going on? Oh my gosh, wait, really? Like that's exactly how it felt. And so whenever they told me, whenever they announced Eva Delatte, I was like, you know, just walking forward, and then I'm like I start making all these like faces. People keep on telling me, Eva, you look so shocked. Why were you so shocked? And I'm like, because it's like the amount of, like, I had been prepping for Miss Southeastern since October.
Wow.
And so all of that hard work, I would say all those hours that I had put towards trying to reach this goal, right? It sort of kind of just, it happened. And I cannot express how many different feelings I was feeling in that moment, just because it was like, it was all worth it in the end. You know, my efforts paid off. And that is the best feeling in the world. It's not just about like Miss Southeastern, but it's like accomplishing that goal that I had set for myself. Like I said before, following your dreams. Well, I put all of the hard work towards making that happen, like making it happen for myself. So that was like it. I was like, oh my gosh, wait, it's real. And then the walk around the stage and everything, I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't feel my toes.
Oh my goodness. And I'm sure you were in heels, right? So you really couldn't feel your toes.
Yes, I was wearing heels, and I had been wearing those what felt like an eternity.
Yes.
And so like by the end of the night, like I swear the balls of my like feet were killing me, and I was like, yeah, it was
well worth it though.
It was well worth it in the end. Look, beauty is pain. That is a serious, great thing to say, because it is the truth.
Yes, it is.
It's all worth it.
Yeah, it's the truth. So finally, what do you hope to accomplish this year as Miss Southeastern?
Well, as I already said, I would love for all public schools to have some form of performing arts so that the students can have an outlet for themselves. I also want to increase the admissions for Southeastern. I plan on touring to every public school within Tangipahoa Parish, and at least before Miss Louisiana, I want to go and visit all of the high schools so that I can advocate and also promote Southeastern, say, hey, this is why I came here, because I actually have a unique backstory. I'm a transfer student, and so from my previous college, I just felt like it wasn't the place for me, only because it was such a large university, and I felt like I was secluded. Like, you know, you have a bigger community, it's hard to find your place. And so whenever I came to Southeastern, I actually felt like I walked into every single class and the professors were there for me. I get comments from every single professor on every single one of my assignments. I wanted that in-touch experience as far as like education went. And then on top of it, I was able to find a group of friends and like people willing to support me right as soon as I walked in. And that is something that somebody needs to talk about, because I don't think that we talk about our own experiences as Southeastern students, you know? And I feel like if I were to spread my message and my story, that maybe like admissions would increase. And then I also would like to advocate for the International Baccalaureate program. As I said before, I am trying to get my certification, but I'm also an ambassador for the teaching certification at Southeastern for the International Baccalaureate. But also I am an IB graduate. So International Baccalaureate is basically a program that helps build the confidence for students in high school. I feel like I had about 5 different presentations per week whenever I was going to school in that program, and it definitely helped me be more confident in myself. Now the thing is that it also helps you be like really well-rounded and managing your time wisely. There's so many different social skills and like just skills in general that I had learned from that program, that if I advocate for it because I know that it helped me, then you know, I feel like our high school students in the future will only be like better. I love that. I wish I had that in my high school, because I didn't even know that was a thing. I mean, I could talk a little more about it if you want.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the International Baccalaureate program is, again, a global curriculum that enhances students in a way that makes them a well-rounded, sophisticated, I would say a very sophisticated individual. Whenever I walked into college classes, it wasn't a matter of I couldn't do the work or I didn't know how to, for example, write a 15-page essay. That was an expectation of me whenever I was in high school. It was an assignment that was 15 pages long. It was called the extended essay, and it was about anything that I had wanted to explore. But the thing is that having to write a paper that long, that's something that typically you don't do until you get into college. Maybe even like your master's or doctoral program. Like that was a first time experience for me, and I was only 17 years old. And so, you know, it definitely sets you up for the college experience and helps you understand what it's going to take. You also have to manage your time wisely. It's a rigorous program, so I would say, like, I definitely learned on top of what I was doing with my dance education. That was about 20 to 25 hours worth of dancing per week. I had a second education, okay? That's what I like to call it. It's my second education.
No, it definitely is, for sure.
Well, I did that, and then I also did the International Baccalaureate program. I didn't have much time for wiggle room, so I had my planner in front of me all the time, and I was planning when I was going to do my assignments. Now, think about having those skills whenever you walk into the door, whenever you're in college, and you have all these different obligations like work, your extracurriculars, maybe even fitness, keeping yourself healthy, and then school. Being able to have those skills like definitely set me up, and that's just even the basis of like what it provided for me. But the curriculum itself is basically like, the first question that they will ask you is, how do you know what you know? That is something that has never been said to me, and I think that a majority of people have never asked themselves, is why or how? How do you know what you know? Like, why do we have this whole knowledge system, you know, in the first place? And basically it is that comes from the TOK, which is theoretical, the theory of knowledge course, okay? We have the theory of knowledge, and then every other subject area is connected to it. So basically, like, you have an art is required, which of course I did theater, obviously, performing arts, right? So theater, and then also a foreign language, which I took Spanish. I was expected to actually speak in Spanish fluently for 15 minutes as one of my exams. So in high school, I was a fluent speaker of Spanish. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
I wish I could still do that. But also there's math, science, English, which is like world language for me. Love my world literature. And then also like a history. And that's about it. You have 6 subject areas, and then you have to connect every single one of them to the theory of knowledge as to why you know what you know in that body or area of knowing. Like I'm using a lot of IB terms for my IB peeps out there. I don't know if any of y'all have been a part of it, but it is a great program that helps you with social skills and keeping yourself with time management. But I would also say that it definitely helps as far as expanding your thinking. And then it only reasserts like everything that you thought, or every single one of your opinions. Now I feel like if somebody were to ask for my opinion on something, I would know why I feel that way. I would know how I feel that way. I would know how to explain pretty much anything that you want to ask me, and that's just because of that program. So that's why I advocate for it, and that's why I wanted to be an ambassador for all Louisiana IB schools. So
well, that program sounds great. I can definitely see the impact it had on you. You're so well spoken.
Thank you. Oh, and then I also forgot to mention, whenever I walked into college, I was a sophomore. I had like 24 hours of credit just because of that program. So in my opinion, it's like, yes, there's AP and, you know, dual enrollment courses. That's great. But the IB program is like the full package. Wow.
Well, I hope we're able to get that program out to other schools. It's great that you're here talking about this, because like I said, I didn't know about it, and I'm sure there's students watching this right now that didn't know about this. Well, that's great. Do you have any final remarks?
The last thing that I would like to say is, like, I don't feel like many people actually understand like what at least the Southeastern students, they know of me. They know like I'm Miss Southeastern, but how many of y'all actually know what the Miss America organization is truly about? You know, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about that.
Yes, please do.
Okay, So I have 4 points on my crown, right? Every single point of the crown actually symbolizes something. It symbolizes style, scholarship, success, and service.
So tell me, why did you choose pageantry, and is there any symbolism behind it?
The Miss America organization is a very unique pageantry, or it's a very unique competition. One of the things that I loved about it in the first place was the fact that I was able to advocate for something rather than just, you know, wearing a crown or wearing the pretty rhinestones. I felt like I could actually speak, and I have a voice for myself. I can advocate for what I'm passionate about. And that is why I love the Miss America organization, and that's why I chose to come into pageantry in the first place. So I would say that the Miss America organization honestly tries to make sure that they empower women into a way that, you know, it's about being as well-rounded as possible. And as you can see, I'm very attached to systems that are like that, advocating for everything rather than just one thing individually. And so Miss America, there's 4 points to my crown, okay? And each and every single one of them is symbolic for style. I'll name them out for you. It's style, scholarship, service, and success. So every single one of them symbolizes, I would say it makes a round circle, like a beautiful symbolic circle of, you know, what the perfect woman should be. You know, she should be able to be confident in her creativity, her style, the way that she dresses herself. It's sophisticated. And, you know, like that saying that whenever people say, you know, what you're dressed to impress, what you're wearing is the first thing that they'll see. Whenever you walk into an interview, what you wear is the most important thing.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you have that first impression locked in, it's the best thing, you know, you could possibly do. And people will take you a lot more seriously. Miss America and pageantry in general teaches you how to do that. And then on top of it, I talked about the service portion, right?
Yes.
Being able to advocate and do things for the community that not only, like, that's something that I hold dear to my heart because I have always loved giving back and, you know, being there for people, because in my eyes, whenever I do things like that, that's what truly makes me happy and makes me feel like I'm actually doing something, like I'm providing change.
Yes.
And then success. I mean, of course, every single woman wants to be successful. You know, we want to be able to be the best version of ourselves at all times. And the Miss America organization definitely allows us to be that. And the Miss America organization also provides scholarships. It's actually the #1 donor for women to provide scholarships in the United States. I don't know if you knew that, but like, for example, Miss Southeastern gets a full year of tuition that was awarded to her after, and I'm talking about her as if, you know, that's not myself. I was awarded I was awarded a year of tuition just because of my platform and, you know, like how much I had to do in order to be here today, right? And that's like a big thing. I feel like, you know, the Miss America organization also does the same thing. Whenever you become Miss Louisiana, whenever you become Miss America, you're provided scholarships. So that just tells you that they advocate for you to be intelligent and have an education and be able to grasp anything, any goal that you want to accomplish. The Miss America organization will make sure that you succeed.
Oh, I love that. And I love that we're talking about this, and it's Women's History Month.
It is Women's History Month.
Yes. And tomorrow is International Women's Day. So I love the women power that I'm getting right now. Because as a woman myself, specifically a woman of color, it's hard to, you know, like you said, you have to dress to impress, you have to do all these things for people to take us seriously. And I love that. I love that you're advocating that. I love that you're a role model for students on campus, women on campus. I love that. Just love everything about it. So you're doing great.
Thank you.
But yeah, I admire you. I'm sure many others admire you. But yeah, I don't know what to say. I just love it. I just love it. I love it. So yeah, tell me a little bit about your dance background. Like I said, I would have loved to be able to dance. I love the performance aspect of it, the emotional aspect of it. I just love it all. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, honestly, that's what, like, I wish I can accomplish. Like, we don't have dance education in the public education system.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that we're, like, big on theater and music. But dance is something that you have to go elsewhere to find, you know? And I really want to change that, but that's besides the fact. So I was a dancer ever since I was 2 years old, and ever since then I have been trained almost pre-professionally, I would say. I could have been a professional dancer after I graduated from high school, but I chose that I wanted to have a more solidified future. You know, I think that's all understandable, and so I wanted something to fall back on in case that doesn't exactly work out. So that's a part of the reason why I would train in every single genre of dance. You name it, like you name it, I've probably done it. So I've done ballet. Ballet was about 15 hours a week because it is the foundation of dance. It is the first genre that was actually, like, I don't know, most technical and people actually could practice and had to train in. You know, it wasn't just an expression, it was like training your facility as a dancer, you know, to be able to perform on stage. So ballet was like super important at my dance studio. And then there's also jazz dancing, there's tap. Loved me some tap. I've even taken a Broadway tap class in New York City. That was really cool. Actually, I could talk a little bit more about that. So, I spent an entire summer in New York actually training with a whole bunch of different genres of dance. African, ballroom, tango, salsa. Did I say belly dancing? No. I've taken a belly dancing class. Goodness. That was really cool.
So you're really trained in like every possible genre.
Yes. And that's what made me appreciate it even more, was just, you know, it wasn't just training. I learned about the history of it. I learned about why it was important. Now, that's always something that I have always asked myself as an IB mind. I call it International Baccalaureate mind, okay? That mindset, I'm always asking, why am I learning this?
Yeah.
So then I go and look up the history of that genre of dance, and then I figure out all these amazing things that make me appreciate it even more. And so whenever I started doing all of that, that's whenever, I don't know, it just felt like I was training myself to be more of a well-rounded dancer.
Yeah.
And, you know, my dream is to one day be on Broadway. Now, I can't necessarily sing as well as other people, so I might be in the ensemble dancing big time, you know. My dream role is to be one of the ballerinas from Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, yes.
You know, like in the beginning, that would be really cool.
Do it.
Yeah, so my dance education is very extensive, and that's why whenever somebody told me, you should be Miss Southeastern, we need a good dancer, I was like, wait, what is Miss Southeastern? And then it just, you know, the tumble effect, it just happened after that.
Oh my goodness, I love that. It's funny how, you know, life works. You do all of these things, and all of these things will lead you to where you're supposed to be. And I really think that's what happened with you with dance, and now you're Miss Southeastern.
Yeah.
I love that. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about? How has it been how long has it been, a month or
It's
two?
only been a month.
Okay, a month.
Yeah.
So tell me about this first month as being Miss Southeastern. How has it been?
It has been a dream, honestly, and that's sort of kind of funny. So it is a dream. I feel like everything that I wanted to accomplish, it's all in the makings.
Yes.
So, as you know, I've become an ambassador for the Louisiana IB Schools, the certification program at Southeastern, and then also the performing arts advocate for Tangipahoa Parish school systems. That's all ambassadorships. Well, with that, in the making, I'm actually going to be a part of the Elementary Music Festival for Tangipahoa Parish, where I'm actually going to be announcing all of these amazing performing arts programs that are all elementary schools. And so I feel like I've talked to people and interacted with people of all ages. I feel like, it's not just about the Southeastern community for me, though that is the most important thing.
Yes.
Love the Southeastern community. But I've been reaching out to other areas in the community. Like I've went to a nursing home for Valentine's Day and handed them like Valentine's Day gifts and just Valentine's and we love you. Miss Southeastern appreciates everything you did for the community and I'm thinking of you. I just wanted to spread that message to them because I don't think that many people do that.
Yes.
And then I also have interacted with children a lot. I went to Champ Cooper actually last Friday, a week ago from today.
Oh.
And I actually went and read to 10 pre-K and K classes about learning how to line up with Rumi. I brought a stuffed little, almost like that up there, like a stuffed Rumi animal. And I was like, you see his two little ears? Now bring up your L's. And you say, line up. Yeah. So it was so cute to see them do that. And they were so excited to hold a stuffed animal and give Rumi some love. And I was like, this is definitely making my heart happy. That just made me feel like, it was all worth it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, remind you this is why I'm doing what I do.
Yes. Exactly, and that's why I want to be a teacher. It's just because I feel like the impact that you make on kids, they're so young and their minds are so fresh. They see the world through a completely different lens than somebody who has experienced 20 years of life like myself. And, just to be able to be a positive impact, a positive influencer in their lives, that's what makes my heart happy.
Yes.
And so, being able to interact with kids, that is the best thing I think that I've done this month for myself, like how I feel I've done. But I've also been a part of the Champagne Bingo with the felines. That was actually my first event the next day.
The very next day.
Yes, the very next day. I had to wear jewelry. It was like this diamond cross, and a whole bunch of ladies wanted to take a look at it. And it was a very fun experience and definitely felt welcomed, felt like my coming out to society or something like that. I walked into a big ballroom full of all these people and they're all wanting to meet me.
Suddenly know you now.
Yes. And I was still in the dream mindset. I'm like, this is not reality. Did this actually happen? Yeah. So that was pretty cool. And then also I was a part of 3 Mardi Gras parades. One of them was for Tangipahoa Parish School Systems, the Crew of Champions, and also the Crew of Omega Parade. That was really fun. So I definitely feel like I'm way more festive as far as holidays go, which I absolutely love because I've always wanted an excuse to be more festive. So
yeah, everyone does. Okay, well, I love that. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about today?
I think that's it.
Well, it has been so much fun chatting with you, Eva. Southeastern is lucky to have you, and the Lions who are here wishes you the absolute best in your reign. Lions, stay tuned for more to come.